So you all went to school today?
Yes.
And how many of you like science? Okay. And so you like to hear stories?
Yes.
So how about I tell you a Khasi folk tale mixed with some scientific facts? Would you like to hear that story?
Yes.
The beating of Kabam suggested imminent danger. The village elders had announced an immediate Darbar requesting everyone's presence. We have been living in harmony with all life forms of Meiramo. This beast threatens our mutual coexistence and therefore needs to be stopped at once. We hold this Darbar today to find a solution to this beast of a problem. Is there anyone among us brave enough to take up the challenge? There was a dead silence throughout the Darbar, as everybody knew that defeating this common enemy was almost impossible. In the plains, Boss Frontalis, locally known as Mithun, lived with his mother. The mother watched and saw her son grow from a little calf into a fine, strong and handsome individual, and she couldn't be prouder. Young Mithun was adventurous and roamed around his homeland with no fear and apprehension. However, the adjoining Khasi hills always intrigued him since his childhood days. His mother warned him not to venture into the Khasi hills, but to be happy and content with whatever they have at home. However, his mother's warning only sparked his curiosity, and not heeding her advice, young Mithun set on an adventurous journey towards the Khasi hills. Never in his life had he witnessed the serene beauty of the towering monoliths and the misty hills, the mild meadows full of lush green herbs, the alluring pitcher plant, the enchanting orchids, and the delectable fruits. Surely, he said to himself, this must be heaven on earth. Fascinated with the new environment and food, he did what he knew best, delighting his taste buds with every edible thing. However, he was impertinent towards every vegetation and uprooted and destroyed everything that lay on his way. Every plant and animal feared him. Soon, his nomadic wanderings brought him in contact with a few villages of the Khasi people. The Khasis, unaware of the new beast's strength, put up a stiff resistance, but all their efforts were futile against him. The victory further fueled his self-belief, pride, and arrogance. The silence was broken by an unlikely organism node, scientifically known as Fasciola gigantica, or commonly known as liver fluke, who stood up and said that he would volunteer to help and knew of a plan to kill Mithun. Many present there were skeptical, as Node's parasitic lifestyle was not taken well within the society. Nevertheless, the Darbar was amazed at Node's daring bravery to fight against the beast. Node also spoke of how he was affected by Mithun's unforgiving nature and told the gathering that he can sacrifice his offsprings in order to restore a balance within Mother Nature. But being old and immobile, he needed help from another animal in order to accomplish the work. Another odd volunteer, the snail, or locally known as Matta, offered her assistance to Node as she is a close friend of him. The elders, however, wanted to know of Nod's plan and Matta's role in it. Nod spoke of the plan and said that because of the scarcity of food for the little ones, Matta would host his child Miracidia, where it would multiply and reproduce to form Radia, grow up to become Cercaria, and finally come out of Matta's body and encyst as Metacercaria on the watercress vegetation that Mithun loved to eat. On ingestion, Metacercaria would exist in the small intestine, make their way to the liver, mature into adults, lay eggs, and reside within the bile ducts, blocking the bile passages and eventually kill Mithun. No sooner the plan started unfolding, with Miracidia entering Matta's body and Metacercaria finally encysting at the vegetation near the river. Mithun came to the river and drank bountifully. He looked at the young and tender shoots of watercress plants and gobbled up the entire vegetation along with the Metacercaria. He then played in the water and finally left the spot. The elated Khasis prayed and hoped that Nod's offsprings did what they were taught to do. As time passed by, soon Mithun's sightings began to diminish. Finally, on one fateful day, news of a bovid animal hanging for dear life was reported from one of the villages. The whole Khasi hills erupted with their victory chants, "Hoi Q," as they intuitively knew it was Mithun. Mithun's mother also heard the victory chants of the Khasi people from the plains. Fearing the worst, she rushed to the hills. On reaching the spot, she saw her child, pale, thin, and fighting for breaths. She rushed to the spot and held her now motionless son close to her heart and wept. It was a moment of agony for Nod too, as his offsprings would also die with Mithun. But he was proud of the fact that his children died for a greater glory. Seeing the agony and misery of Mithun's mother, the Khasis stopped their victory chants and prayed to the Almighty God to take away the pain from the grieving souls. Mithun's mother's laments could be heard far and wide. As she grieved, a blinding flash filled the entire place, and in another instant, both Mithun and his mother vanished. The Khasis believed that it was the divine power of God that took the souls into his infinite loving care. Soon, the balance and harmony was restored in Meiramam, or Mother Nature. The dwellers of the Khasi hills were greatly indebted to Nod and his generation. This story carries the proverbial message that pride comes before fall. It also reminds us that one must heed to the advice and teachings of the elders, and that in times of need, even unusual, unlikely, and inconspicuous organisms such as parasites can be heroes too. So, did you enjoy the story?
Yes.
And would you like to take up science for future studies?
Definitely.
Good.